I think we are live, and welcome to Pitch360, the most dynamic and energetic pitching competition, which is back for its 5th year. My name is Yael Simon, and I am your host with the most for today. And in the next hour, we are going to have an amazing time. So sit back, enjoy. Hopefully you can see me on your screen, which would say a lot for technology. And we're going to start by just giving you a little bit of background. Pitch360 is back this year after its 5th year, and we're going to welcome 8 finalists who have to battle it out on this stage, which is a world and global stage in front of you all, in front of an audience of millions and billions. And they're going to pitch for their product and their business in 3 minutes, which is about the patience of a toddler in a supermarket. So our finalists are going to be pitching in 8 different categories. We've got capital markets, digital assets, personal finance management, enterprise software, payments, reg tech, wealth tech, and then the Innovate Finance wildcard. Who's going to be crowned Pitch360 winner? I don't know. Your guess is as good as mine, but we have an amazing judging panel who's going to decide this. I'm going to introduce everybody, but first, a few words from your hostess. I want to say that this year has been an incredible year. And, let's not get down on ourselves. There's been a pandemic, and every single finalist who is here today, this is not a final because, we're all experiencing final fever right now, certainly in England, but a final is not a final. It is just the beginning. And if something we've learned over the last year is that to get through this past year with all of the difficulties and challenges that everybody's had globally and personally, to build a company, a startup, you need to have resilience. You've got to have startup DNA. You've got to have grit, hard work, persistence. We're not going to give up. This is going to work, and we are going to win. And every single person on this stage today has got that attitude, and that is why they're here. So we're the ones who are honored to have all of them. I'm now going to introduce to you all of our amazing judges and then our superstar finalists. For the judges, we have a panel. Philip Garner, who's the head of innovation at Lloyds Banking Group. You can give him a little virtual clap. We have Eleonora Ferrero, who is the director of operations at Evolution AI. We have Zeina Hatem, who is the MD of Google Payments EMEA. We have Jay Wilson, who's an investment manager at Albion VC, Ashish Agarwal, who is the corporate development, M&A and investments at PayPal, your friend of mine. And we have Ian Connatty, the managing director of British Patient Capital. I also want to now introduce all of our 8 finalists. It's so exciting. We have Doug Ray, who represents Blue Fire AI in capital markets. We have Mike Anderson from Convex in digital assets. We have Rob Brockington from Clara Wealth, representing the category of personal finance management. This is starting to feel a little bit like, Miss Universe. Karen Runich from Elementary B Enterprise Software. David Bakshal from DynaPay in payments. Evgeny Lukoded from Clause Match in RegTech, a personal soft spot in my heart, RegTech. Aki Ranin from Bamboo Wealth Tech. And James Varga, who's always smiling, Direct ID he is the Innovate Finance wildcard. And now what we're going to do is, unless you have any questions, I'm going to explain to you how the day is going to run. We're going to have an hour together, so cherish it. Be here with us. We have a chat open for you if you'd like to give us compliments or questions or criticisms, or ask anything you like, or say something nice, because now today we need to say nice things to each other. And every single contestant is going to get up. We're going to announce it. Every candidate has 3 minutes to pitch. 3. They got to keep it under 3, and then we're going to mute them because they shouldn't go past 3 minutes. Now we're going to hand over to a quick Q&A with our judges. Again, a 3-minute quick Q&A, 1-minute turnover, and then we have the next contestant. At the end of all that, we are going to have the judges are going to go and deliberate on a cute little app called WhatsApp, which was recently developed. They're going to deliberate there outside of the court. And instead, we're going to entertain you with an Oxford-style debate on one of my favorite subjects, fundraising. I am a private advisor to ultra-high net worth clients for their corporate and charitable interests, and I advise them how to fundraise. And the subject of our debate is one of my favorite topics about fundraising. Is the current zeitgeist of fundraising over, or has it just begun? I kind of amended it because I don't want anything to be negative. So as far as I'm concerned, the fun is never over. It's never coming to an end. So we'll see how that debate turns out. But first, Before we begin, because there's always an introduction to the introduction, we're going to introduce now Sharon Chen, who's from EY, who's going to give us a very, very short bit about an initiative EY and Innate Finance are working on together. After she speaks, we're going to have a poll with a couple questions. You'll be able to see the poll on your screen, touch the answer, and then we'll tell you the results of the poll. At the end, when we are all discussing, there'll be one or two more polls. You'll be able to decide who's the winner of the debate, and you'll be able to do the same thing. Has everybody understood me? I certainly hope so, because I have no idea if you did or not. So let's kick off. I'm going to introduce Sharon. Sharon, where are you? Let me just remind all of the contestants to please mute their microphones and turn off their video when you're not on stage. And when you are, turn it all on. And when you're not speaking, make sure to mute yourself. Thank you. We don't want to hear what's in the background. Thank you so much. Sharon, over to you.
I am now, hopefully. Okay, now I am unmuted. Thank you, despite telling me a million times. I am getting the theme here that brevity is what we should all be aspiring to, so I will keep this very short. But for those of you who've missed the announcement, EY is sponsoring Innate Finance's Women in FinTech program for the next year. And as part of that program, we have rolled out an initiative called Changing the Face of UK FinTech. So what that means is over the next year, we'll be conducting research into topics of gender diversity and intersectionality in the FinTech industry, trying to dive into themes such as the successes and challenges faced by women working in the industry, structural and institutional and cultural factors that might be impacting people's working experiences, and also trying to tease out what impact it is having on the industry as a whole and on the consumers and clients that we're looking to problem solve for. So I just want to say this isn't just an Innate Finance or EY initiative. It's something we're looking to engage with the entire FinTech ecosystem. So not just FinTech scale-ups and startups, but also everyone here listening. So whether you're an investor or you work for an accelerator or for a bank or even a professional services firm like EY, we want to hear from you. The first stage in our research is going to be an industry survey, and we'll be sending out the link to that in the comms after this event. And following that, we'll be looking to do interviews and focus groups throughout the year and ultimately try and come up with a series of recommendations and remedies that we will also be trying to encourage the industry to act upon. So that's my little elevate pitch, and I think partially to warm up everyone on how this touching the screen business is working. We've got some questions to tease out what people are already thinking about gender. So over to you guys. So the first one is diversity and inclusion has been given sufficient attention within the FinTech industry. Agree or disagree? And I will encourage the judges to also respond. So I'm going to assume the next one will pop up and once people are done, but that one is, oh, we do have results. Interesting. We're actually 47%, 53%. I do kind of want to peek at who's in the audience now, but alas, you will all stay anonymous, as will the survey always be. The next one should be popping up soon, and it should read, female founders find it harder to access venture funding and debt financing. Hopefully a topic that people in this audience will have strong opinions one way or the other. So I think a few more seconds for people who really can't make up their mind about this topic. Right, well, this one's a bit more decisive. Interesting. All right. Well, thank you for both those results. We'll definitely take them away, and obviously do keep an eye out for communications about how you can get involved in this. But in the meantime, let me hand you back to your moderator, and good luck everyone with the competition.
Sharon, thank you so much. And also thank you so much for being on time. I'm a very big stickler for time. And now it is time for our very first finalist. Are you ready? I know you're sitting on the edge of your seats. So please welcome to the stage, Doug Ray, Blue Fire AI. Take it away. You're on the timer, Doug.
Hi, everyone. Thanks a lot for your time. So what I'm here to talk to you about is some of the work that we've been doing in the field of risk management in capital markets. So as we see it, there are two really structural problems that sit inside capital markets, and they're interlinked. So the first one is a cost problem. It currently costs about 5 times more to run an active investment fund than a passive. And that is generating 9 years of underperformance against the S&P. So it's still not solving the problem. That is really limited and kind of reinforced by a scale issue, which is simply put, there's a huge amount of data and information, and that's growing exponentially. And there's a limited amount of people who can deal with that information. So what we want to do is try and find a solution that can unlock that cost and scale problem in capital markets. This is Emmeline. So Emmeline is the world's first automated risk analyst, and she's our submission for this award. She's powered by some of the most groundbreaking technology, new invention in maths, and some really deep domain knowledge. And she brings completely transformational precision, track record, and scale. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to very quickly walk you through what that means. So in terms of precision, on equity companies back to 2017 that she flags, so when Emmeline says a company is red or severe risk, it generates an average return of nearly 16% under its index. That is phenomenally beyond anything the research industry is able to produce, with a consistency that is very high. This is on 30,000 plus downgrades over 5,500 companies. She's also outperforming the credit ratings agencies. So of all the companies that S&P have put on negative credit watch back to 2017, 80% of the time, Emmeline had already downgraded the company 6 months prior. So she's giving advance warning on credit too. She covers 10,000 global companies. To put that in context, the average equity analyst in our industry covers 15, 20, maybe 30 at the most. A credit analyst might cover 50 to 100 issuers. So the scale and precision that she's bringing are completely incomparable to anything that exists in the current financial markets. She's explainable, so you can go into a dashboard and see what she thinks of your portfolio, what she thinks of any company she's looking at, all the moving pieces. She's completely easily deployable. Whatever platform you use, you can have her up and running in days, and she doesn't require any complex tech integration or spend. We've won a load of awards, a mixture of deep tech AI awards, industry residencies with the asset management trade bodies, customer and end user awards, awards from people like Symphony for our use of the UI and interaction with humans. We're servicing 3 verticals: asset managers, investment banks, and wealth managers across the globe. And our client base and partnership base includes top 3 financial groups in Japan, Europe, and the US, which I think is a pretty decent achievement for a 3 or 4 year old company. So that's us.
Done.
Thanks a lot, everyone.
Excellent. Doug, you're going to set the bar for everybody. That's great. Because I've got an Apple Watch and it's time to get 3 minutes. Judges, I'm going to call on a few people just to take some questions and answers with Doug. So Doug, make sure to only put yourself on like unmute when you need to answer. All right. Zeina, can we start with you? Zeina?
Yeah, sure. So my question is, if you're, I couldn't remember the name of the lady, the robot super lady. If she's so precise that can deliver more, I see you have some adoption, but not faster than that. So what is preventing you from being adopted faster by financial institutions or wealth managers and so on? What's your main challenge?
So, I mean, if you think about where capital markets and financial services are, particularly the capital markets side rather than the B2C side, most of the tech spend and innovation spend is either on polishing and sharpening, like process automation in middle and back office, or sharpening the front end for like customer acquisition. the core function of investment decision making and risk decision making has up until now been a very human domain. It's very, very fiercely protected as a human domain, because if you think about it, what's the main pillar of capital markets? It's a belief that smart humans can outperform the market. So what we do and where we work, and Emmeline, which is the AI, the reason we're in a very groundbreaking space is we're one of the few AI companies that are really challenging into the traditionally human decision-making layer of capital markets. And what that means is that, one, you have to be very, very good, and you have to invent a lot of new things, but also user adoption and organizational friction are massive, massive things that we have to overcome. And so, you know, we work, that's why we've gone in really with the best and the biggest organizations who are willing to go on that strategic journey. And, you know, we're growing rapidly, but the industry is only just starting to really want to deploy tech like ours in that decision-making layer. And I think COVID was a big transformational step in that, because I think last year, a lot of people's quant models broke down, and a lot of people found that their smart humans didn't have the capacity to deal with just the volume of risk and breakdown and noise that was happening in the market. So that's been a big game changer for us. But that's the reason why this isn't on every single desk in London, New York, and Tokyo right now.
Doug, thank you. Our judges are loving this, and we have another question, but you're going to have less than 1 minute to answer it. So I'm just going to add, Ashish, would you like to ask your question?
Yeah, just getting right to it, Doug. So good to meet you. Quickly, where do you think the moat is for your business? Is it because you have access to some proprietary data which the banks don't? Or is it because of you've been able to build very smart algorithms which are able to get you insights?
Yeah, very simple.
30 seconds. 30
yeah,
seconds.
Very simple answer. The data is available everywhere. It's the same data everyone looks at. What we've done is the invention of the mathematics that allows you to combine different data, diverse data sets with very diffuse, sparse data items, and then get meaning out of them the way a human would. It's the maths and the processing of that information that is unique, not the data.
Got it. Thank you.
Excellent. Doug, you set the bar high. We are going to go to our next finalist, guys. I mean, it is somebody you know and love. Just kidding, you haven't met him yet. His name is Mike Anderson, and he represents Convex. And just to remind you, those are digital assets. So, Mike, I'd like you to get up on the sort of virtual stage here, sashay on up, keep smiling, because that's what we want to see. And to be fair to you, I'm going to tell you when you're going to start, because my Apple Watch is buzzing on 3 minutes. Ready? Go.
Okay. So I'm Mike Anderson, Managing Director of the Convex Foundation. And my goal today is to share our amazing project to create a new economic model based on personal tokens. Hey, sorry, I'm just having a technical issue. 1 sec.
Mike, I'm going to pause your timer just so you can get this set up. Okay, ready?
PowerPoint's just messing up.
Mike, do you want to talk us through it?
We could see it okay when you had it on like the multi-slide viewer. So I know it's not full screen, but it might be an okay solution.
Okay, let's try it. 1 sec. Okay, this will have to do. Sorry about that.
Okay, you ready?
Yes, okay. So I'm Mike Anderson, Managing Director of the Convex Foundation, and the goal today is to share our amazing project to create a new economic model based on personal tokens. Now, fundamentally, we believe that everyone should have their own personal token. And this is a cryptocurrency that people directly control. And it's not backed by any government, but instead by their own time and talents. Now, this represents an entirely new class of digital asset. People are empowered to issue their own tokens, they can give them away to friends, or they can sell them on the open market. It's a fully fledged currency, and it's tradable on digital exchanges, and you can use it as a payment mechanism. The value of the token is driven by the demand for an individual's skills, and a holder can redeem the token in exchange for whatever products and services are being offered by the issuers. Now, the proposition is compelling first and foremost because it enables people to directly monetize their own talents and get paid up front. But it also has a host of other benefits for enabling financial inclusion and empowering local economies and entrepreneurship. People can build their own smart contracts as well, so incredible innovation on top of this product becomes possible. Now, we're able to offer radically superior economics because we don't run any infrastructure or operations. Everything is decentralized. We can let individuals keep the vast majority of the revenue that they earn, and they only pay very tiny transaction fees for using the network itself. To make it easy and accessible to everyone, we built a friendly mobile application, and this is everything you need from a crypto wallet to the tools that you need to manage your own personal tokens. And hopefully you've seen our live demo. Now, it's only possible to make all of this technology work because we're building on top of Convex, which is a revolutionary new type of blockchain with incredible performance and low costs. Convex is also 100% ecologically sustainable because it doesn't waste vast amounts of energy on cryptocurrency mining. And personal tokens are just one of the many amazing products which are going to be coming out on Convex platform soon. We have a rapidly growing team and we operate on an open source model, which gives us an incredible community of builders and innovators all working together. And I'd love to thank the whole team for their energy, passion, and creative talent that's made all of this possible. Okay, so I hope I've managed to convey, technical issues aside, a bit of our vision, and hope that maybe some of you might choose to join us on this journey. Thanks for listening.
Thank you so much, Mike, and thanks for making up the time. Excellent. Okay, I'd like to take a question from Philip. Philip, Judge.
Hey, Mike. The question I had was, I mean, presumably you see this solution as eventually being very broad and applicable, but who do you think would be your first and kind of early adopters?
Yeah, so I think the ideal early adopters are people who have a valuable skill that people would want to buy in small quantities. So I'm talking about people like professionals, maybe consultants, lawyers, people providing advisory services, or maybe specialist skills like graphics art, where you want to commission, maybe 5 hours of work to create some design. So I think there's certain audiences that it is very well suited for in the first instance, because these people have skills that many people want and that can be traded, and that maybe you might want to buy some coins of someone that you appreciate their talent and their skills.
Thank you.
Be helpful if I unmuted myself. Eleonora, please, your question.
Thank you. Hi, Mike. Very interesting. And I would like to have some more information about what's the next priority and challenge for you to go to market and scale your go-to-market strategy.
Yeah, no, great question. I think there's two pieces. One is we are still pre-launch. So we have the product built and running and testing, and the test network's been up for a year, but we need to get the network launched, and the product obviously depends on that, so that we can give everyone their own cryptocurrency, and that's probably going to be in another 6 months or so. And then in parallel to that, what we want to do is find ways to reach out into different communities. So communities of makers, creators, professional communities, just try and find who those sort of early adopters will be, and really try and just engage with those communities to work out what the best model is. And I think then the go-to-market strategy will develop from there as we identify, where we're getting the best traction and what aspects are appealing best to different communities.
Excellent. And Jay had just a follow-up to that.
if I may ask a slightly different question, which is, if it's intended to be used as a payment mechanism, how do you avoid the early inevitable volatility that stops me realizing the value that I might be due as a service provider?
I think there's some natural stabilization built into the likely pricing of these tokens. So if the price goes high, an individual can always sell more of their tokens. Yeah, so there's an incentive if you're a creator and you see the price going super high, you're going to sell more. So that puts like an upper bound. And then I guess there's also so it's not like there's a fixed supply and very narrow trading, which is going to drive big swings in price. It's more like it's more of a flow depending on how much of the creator's talent is getting used and how much of the currency is being redeemed. So I think it's not quite the same kind of situation as a fixed cryptocurrency.
Mike, thank you. I'm making an emoji thank you with my hands because it's time to move on. And we are keeping to time, which I love the most. This is the best thing to put me in charge of the clock. So up next, we've got Rob Brockington from Claro Wealth, and that's in the category of personal finance management. Rob, tell me when you're ready to go, and I'm going to press my Apple Watch on 3 minutes. Oh, Siri, go away. Okay, let me know when you're ready. Say ready. Rob?
If you can see my screen, then I'm ready to go.
All right, honey, go.
Thank you. So hi, my name is Rob. I'm the CEO of Claro. First, I'd like to talk a little bit about financial coaching. So just quickly, a financial coach is a qualified professional who collaborates and guides their clients to reach their financial goals. We believe that affects their finances, their well-being, and ultimately their happiness. We've run a campaign nationally with the Mental Health Campaign at Mental Health UK and the Money Charity, specifically showcasing the strong correlation between low financial confidence and mental well-being. Next, I'd like to introduce Harry. So Harry is one of Claro's first beta users. He's a typical 32-year-old guy. He has a young son. He's not budgeted much really or practiced saving much, but he has a long list of financial goals that he'd like to achieve. He generally feels he has a little low financial confidence and is a little bit stressed and anxious about his financial future. But he's not alone. He falls into what we call the advice gap, which is 68% of the UK population, or 44 million adults who fall into this gap, who are currently unserved by the professional advice and guidance industry in the UK. Therefore, we believe the financial advice industry is ripe for market disruption even. Harry is unable to utilize these services due to unaffordability and inaccessibility. The high fees and high barrier to entry do make these unfortunate for him. Our solution to that is Claro, the UK's first digital financial coaching app, offering affordable, accessible, qualified financial guidance for everyone in the UK. We create this product by combining human expertise and the latest technology, creating something that's affordable and accessible. A lot of research still shows that people are much more comfortable talking to people about their financial situation and decisions than they are to technology. But combining the latest technology with this, we believe, makes a really innovative business model. When Harry came to us, he was able to connect up his accounts to our budgeting system and better see his expenditure. He could then book a call with Stacey, one of our financial coaches, who together with him was able to help put together a structured plan that he could then see in our app and was able to then execute on those goals across investments, insurance, and savings. The result of this service is that the predictive net wealth of Harry improves by about 60% in the predictions. But not only the financial benefits of this service, but also Harry now feels much more comfortable about his situation and has actually been able to achieve a lot of the goals that he set out. We believe that there's huge potential for growth in this area. Octopus have just bought up one of the competitors, and we've managed to gather 18,000 people on a waiting list in the last few months. We've built a great team over the last year across development, coaching, and many other areas. We launch our iOS app this month with our B2B Claro for Employers app coming next year. And we believe that we have all the components needed for success in this area to make a real social impact across the UK. Thank you very much for your time and I welcome any questions.
Rob, well done. We're going to move straight to Ashish with the questions on the judges. Ashish.
Hey, Rob, nice to meet you. So quickly, I think a great idea. Just talk to us about your go-to-market strategy. As you very well know, B2C CACs can be very high. So how are you thinking about that?
So we're taking a fairly broad approach initially, and we've done a lot. We've been very fortunate to be able to do a lot of work in this area already. So we've done a lot of dark testing and kind of pre-marketing activities, obviously to help build up that list that we have. We see the kind of acquisitions cost varying between £5 and £15, depending on the campaigns. But we've been working a lot on our in-house content strategy, which we've been working on for about a year now. So we're kind of spreading our approach across kind of organic content strategies. We have some really good paid media partners. We've made a lot of influencer relationships over the last kind of year as well. So I think we're taking a very broad approach for that. Ashish.
Got it. And yeah, just one more for me. Again, Rob, how do you think about the likes of Monzo's and other digital neobanks who already have millions of active users? What's stopping them to launch something similar within their existing app?
I mean, ultimately, the answer is, I guess, when they get to a certain size, they can launch anything. But at the moment, we see that a lot of companies have been very, very focused on a pure digital product. And what we're seeing, and a lot of our research has been focused on combining this human element with digital, which we believe gives a much more kind of trustworthy and higher value service. I haven't seen any of the kind of new fintech players working on products like that.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm just going to go quickly to Zeina, and you've got 1 minute left.
Yeah, so thank you. That was great. How will you make money? What's your business model? At least what's the priority revenue stream?
So in terms of revenue models, we actually have kind of a fairly diverse revenue model on purpose, because we want to be able to provide the service to a wider group as possible. So we're looking to take revenue through subscription fee, through one-on coaching service fees, obviously a management fee on investments. We will be offering different types of lifestyle insurance and other products, whether it's commission. And we also have a few other ideas for affiliate lead generation through the products that we have. So we're trying to keep that as broad as possible. And obviously that then changes over the years in terms of which of those components becomes a larger chunk of our revenue stream as we grow.
Okay, thank you.
Excellent. And we actually have 10 seconds left. I don't know, Phil, if you want to jump in there, but we really only have 10 seconds left.
Yeah, probably not enough time. Maybe quickly, is it a regulated service that you're aiming to?
So the components that are in for investments, the rest of it is all regulated, but coaching is actually an unregulated service.
Okay, excellent. All right. Well, thank you, Rob. And we move swiftly on to a beautiful poem, Karen Rudich from Elementary B, Enterprise Software, category as such. Karen, when you are ready, tell me, put your slides up. You have slides? Yep. Let me know. I'm going to start the timer for 3 minutes. Tell me when you want to start.
Okay, we're good to go. Thank you.
Go.
Hello, everyone. My name is Karen Rudich, CEO and co-founder of Elementary B, an intelligent financial management platform providing complete control to mid-sized enterprises operating in a globalized economy. EB is being brought to the market by a team of successful entrepreneurs coming from the likes of Monzo, XCap, and Nickel Curtin, many having delivered industry firsts. The mid-sized sector is comprised of companies with 10 to 100 million pounds of annual turnover and is the backbone of economies globally. In the UK, mid-sized enterprises, or MMEs, generate over 1/3 of annual business turnover. Internationally, however, this market is larger by volumes and GDP contribution. Disintermediated due to industry footprint and geographical diversity, MMEs rely on a range of advisors and providers to support their operations. They mainly use error-prone Excel to support financial processes that lack real-time data integration. The impact is material. Waste on financial operations and poor access to the right products can cost them 5% average in profitability. That's a shocking £51.5 billion per year to the British economy. EB has been designed to put MMEs back in control of their financial future via aggregated data and analytics to forecast in real time, business insights to help identify the unknowns that hide in complex global trade, options that can be modeled using a company's own data to plan and assess, rapid hassle-free product fulfillment, all within an ecosystem where MMEs are supported by their existing trusted advisors, but all seeing the same information. Accessible via an easy-to-use dashboard initially targeted at company CFOs, our users can see and play with key performance indicators across multiple jurisdictions in various currencies and use a range of tools to scenario plan without the need of macros before making any decisions. The benefits are clear. For the MMEs, it's about moving from reactive to proactive working capital and financial management and getting the best the market has to offer. For the advisors, it's about supporting your clients better with more interactive engagement tools. For the product providers, it's about having clean source data to assess a client's needs and offer suitable products more cheaply. Our sticky SaaS business model has 3 initial revenue streams comprised of licenses and commissions and breaks even in year 3. We expect 7% market penetration and £7,000 of average annual recurring revenues per client in the UK by year 5 and to launch into 2 international markets. Our intelligent data platform and ecosystem model for mid-sized businesses makes us unique, and as such, we have no direct competition at this time. That said, we're aware that time is ticking and the mid-sized sector has been hailed as the next horizon ripe for disruption. We're launching our Alpha platform in Q3 this year with test clients and raising £1 million of EIS-able funds to deliver our MVP in 2022. We are ambitious, experienced, and targeting a major increase in value by the time we exit an IPO in 5 years. We would love to have you join us on our journey. Elementary B, transforming financial decision-making because it should be elementary.
Oh my God, my timer's going. That was perfect. Great. We're going to move straight to Jay. Jay, you've got a question.
Yeah, thank you for that. At these current price points, what will be your go-to-market motion?
So our go-to-market is starting at £250 per month for mid-sized companies. We are really, we've already done some price point testing with a number of CFOs and FDs across all corners of the UK.
And
is that what you were asking?
More your sales and marketing go-to-market motion.
Oh, so we are direct to mid-sized companies through trade bodies because they're spread all over all the corners. We're going through trade bodies like the ACCA, AFME, the CBI, and then also separately through advisors themselves, because it does help them become more profitable and move into the strategic advisory space. So we are already speaking with a number of accountancy firms, in particular in the UK, that cover that mid-sized sector. So it's a one-to-one to many model as well.
Thank you.
Excellent. Phil.
Hey, Karen. So this is clearly kind of the dashboard solution, etc., is something that's going to need to sit in the middle of a range of different services that the technology presumably kind of has API links to etc. I just wonder, you know, I think upfront that's going to look like a lot of work to CFOs. You know, they might be quite kind of unwilling to change. What's the killer feature that's going to tip them over into it? And also, how have you made that integration really easy for them?
Karen, 30 seconds.
We've been doing a lot of user testing with CFOs and finance directors. We sit on top of their existing systems, and we're replacing Excel spreadsheets through, you know, click and drag and drop a button and alerts and notifications. That really is the killer thing to them. It's the unknowns that catch them unawares, and that interactivity and engagement adds value to them.
Excellent. Thank you, Karen. We are right now, I don't know if you're ready. I am definitely ready for David. David Backshall, DynaPay, and this category is payments. So David, get your phone up on the screen, and let's make sure you're ready. And as soon as you say go, we're going to start the timer. Ready?
Okay, go. Hi, my name is David Backshall. I'm Commercial Director at DynaPay, and I'd like to talk to you about our business, who we are, what we do. So DynaPay operates a digital multi-rail platform, and we're a challenger to traditional banks. Ultimately, we provide multi-currency accounts for medium-sized businesses that trade internationally. What we want to do is make the onboarding as frictionless as possible, but also as well help businesses grow internationally as well. And to do this, we do this on a number of different ways. We've created a platform that allows our clients to onboard online, and they can be onboarded and have a full KYC process done within 24 hours. We also have a team in contact centers that also are able to help our clients not only on board, but also as well, once they've onboarded, to be able to advise them to grow their businesses. We're regulated by the FCA in the UK, and we also provide 100% safeguarding for funds as well. Who are our customers? We operate right across Europe and Eastern Europe as well. Our customers are diverse, but they're mainly kind of mid-sized corporate companies that trade internationally. So for example, some of our typical customer profiles operate in Europe. They may have UBOs that are international, but they may trade with suppliers in Hong Kong, for example, and they may have clients in the US. What they can do on our platform is that they can fund their accounts. They can do FX into Hong Kong dollars or Chinese yuan, play their manufacturers in China, have their goods shipped, and then they can receive payments like a local in the US with a USD dollar account as well. So we allow clients to trade globally, but get also paid like a local as well. This also helps us with transparency on our fees. We find that a lot of clients that come to us don't want to use their traditional bank account because their fees for FX and also international transactions are very expensive. And also they don't offer the mix of local payment options as well. So we can provide all this for our clients that either run as a dedicated account or complementary to their existing one. For example, on FX fees, we provide more than 12 different currencies at the moment, but on average, we can save our clients more than 7%. So not just with business account, you get multi-currency, but also in the future as well, we'll be able to provide cards and also financing as well, which are the future things that we'll be able to provide for our clients. Thank you very much for listening to me. Welcome any other questions that you've got.
Best part about David, he's got his own timer. Ian, we're going to go straight to you.
Thanks very much for the presentation. And how's this different from some of the other solutions that are already on the market for payments? And how does it integrate with some of the other systems?
Yeah, good question. So what we've done is we've put a lot of different complex rails on our platform, which we have in the background, so underneath the bonnet. And what we want to do is give our clients that use our system an ecosystem that they can fund their accounts, that they can utilize different currencies on their account, they can do FX, and then what they can do is also pay out in more than 30 odd currencies and do that locally as well. What clients tend to come to us to solve that problem because their traditional banks can't actually do that for them. They also can't onboard them because maybe their UBO is based in Ukraine or Uzbekistan, for example. We can do that because we've got the facilities and the sources to manage those risks and the transaction monitoring. So what we've been doing is building our infrastructure to make it really sophisticated, but we don't want to bamboozle our clients. We want to make them to utilize and have a great user experience. So what they can do is use our platform to transact globally, but without having the issues of not being able to transact in a particular jurisdiction or not have a currency available to them, but also do that at a lower cost as well.
Can I ask a follow-up? Sorry, is that all right?
Sorry, say again.
I've got 1 minute and 30 seconds. Can we just move to another question?
Sure.
Thanks, Ian. Zeina, I would like you to ask your question and incorporate a few of the others.
It was very similar to the one that was just asked, right? The differentiation, basically, what differentiates you in a very, very full market with Revolut Business and all these guys. So
so what we've found with our clients is, and when we've listened to them, what they've asked for is that they need particular routes and channels and corridors to be able to process specific transactions. So money coming in from one country and then paying out into another country. So we can do that very cost effectively, cheaper than traditional banks. We can also do that faster as well, utilizing the rails that we've got with our core banks that we work with today. And we can also provide local payouts where traditional banks, for example, in the UK, wouldn't wouldn't be able to do that as quickly or as cost effectively as what we're able to do. All of that wrapped up into a service where we provide a dedicated relationship manager, which is a specialist that can help our clients' businesses grow. They can't get that from a traditional bank. And that's where our unique positioning is. And that's why our customers love to use our service.
Thank you.
Excellent. We are on time.
Thank
Let's
you.
go next to Evgeny Likoded in a cause close to my heart, Red Tag. And his company is Clause Match. Evgeny, are you ready?
Yes, hi, thank you, Yael. I'm
Hi.
just sharing my screen.
Okay, you tell me when you're ready to start.
Yeah, I'm ready.
Go.
Brilliant, thank you. Hi, everyone. I'm Evgeny, CEO and founder of Clause Match. And at Clause Match, we're aiming to simplify compliance for the world. By way of background, I'm a lawyer, and I started my career in oil and gas and then joined Morgan Stanley in 2009, when regulators started very closely looking at how we do things within the organization. And what I found at Morgan Stanley is that when dealing with compliance, it's a very paper-heavy process. And at every step of the process, there is a document. And that document is either a policy which tells a person what they need to do, or it's a regulatory document which tells the organization how they should conduct their business. And all these documents have been flying all over the place. It's always impossible to find the right document. And actually, it leads to a lot of confusion of what is exactly the obligation that on the organization and what the process is to actually address that obligation. In fact, people, when they're asked, do you know where the latest anti-money laundering policy is, they don't even know where to find it within the organization. So that leads to a lot of bad things happening on the market, from regulatory fines to even criminal charges. But ultimately, what we care about is that incompliant products are being brought to the market and customers are unhappy, either for breaches, for non-working products, bad financial products, and so on. At Clause Match, we believe that compliance should be simplified. And we built a platform which helps to manage compliance documents in one single place. We built collaboration and real-time document editing capabilities to collaborate in real time. But ultimately, it is to keep every single employee up to date with the latest obligations and policies which apply to them. At the core of the platform, we help with centralizing and mapping those documents and content within those documents across the organization. So regulations, policies, procedures, and even risk controls can be mapped together. So you know when changes impact either of those. We built our own document editor, which creates structured data, and we apply natural language processing to find related content across the organization. So when changes are introduced in regulatory and policy documents, the impact can be easily seen across the organization. And we keep the full audit trail. So our clients who have been using us for 5 years can now go back in time and see what the exact policy was at the time, how it was created, approved, and distributed to employees. Ultimately, we built a portal for employees, which is a single place. We work today with global financial institutions, and last year was the most successful year for us, which was the expansion to the US and signing some of the biggest North American clients.
Evgeny, we're done.
We're done.
We're done. We're done. Okay. You can stop right there. I'm going to move straight to Phil, and maybe you'll be able to answer some of your questions then. Okay.
Yeah, great. My question was, within the organization, who is the product designed for? So obviously you have compliance teams, but is it intended to be, hands-on used by, kind of end business users as well? And how have you built it with that in mind? For that end business user, it might be kind of a small percentage at a time. So how do you land it for them?
Yeah, so there are 3 types of users across the organization. There are compliance and risk people, policy owners. If there is a risk, either regulatory risk or business risk, there usually is a policy document which addresses it. So those are users who are managing those documents and applying governance process, approvals process to them. There are users who are contributing. So I'm changing my AML policy. There are 100 people within the organization which are affected by that change, and they need to contribute their comments, especially in different jurisdictions. And then there are end users, employees, and they access a different side of the platform, the portal, where they can read, find, attest, and also ask questions on compliance content.
Okay, thank you.
Zeina, go.
Yes, so compliance varies by jurisdiction. How do you make sure your product adapts to that and gets the latest compliance rules and so on in the different countries?
Yeah, sure. So the way we took a decision that we wouldn't be providing content, and content would be external content would be integrated into the platform. We provide a way to manage that life cycle of those documents, map them together, and report on them. So in fact, the platform doesn't need to be adapted to different jurisdictions. We have users now, by way of Barclays and BNY Mellon and BlackRock using that globally in over 40 countries. The platforms is scalable across any industry and any country.
Great. Last question from Jay. You've got 1 minute and 3 seconds. Go.
Presumably you sell this on a recurring license revenue model. How does that scale? Is it number of documents on the platform, users?
Yeah, sure. It's priced per user. We typically sign enterprise contracts, which are multi-year contracts with 1 year upfront payment. And in terms of scaling, there are also modules. So when different modules are bought, then there is a user price and per module.
Okay, thank you.
Amazing. Great. Evgeny, thank you. We've got 2 more beauty contestants left, kidding, fintech contestants left. And next up, we've got Aki Ranan, who is from Bamboo in wealth tech, something we all hope to need. Aki, you ready?
Yep, let me just share my screen here.
By the way, we're killing it with the time. We're doing great, okay?
Well, I may be dropping the ball a little bit, so let's see how we go, because I suppose I'm the only one so far, at least, not doing any slides. I'm doing a live demo, which is always a bit of a risk, but hey, here to win it. Let's see what happens.
Aki, you ready? I love your attitude. Are you ready?
Yes, let's go.
Okay, Apple Watch, go.
Okay, so we'll save the sort of Bamboo discussion itself around the company and whatnot for the questions, because I don't have time for that. Really, what we're doing with this demo is to show you our vision for the future of wealth management and financial planning, and we're calling it predictive planning. Again, because I don't have too much time here, I'm just going to summarize that the concept behind this is based on AlphaGo, which is DeepMind's world-crushing algorithm for beating all humans at all board games forever. And we found basically a way to adapt that for life course prediction. But again, if you want to know more questions, because I'm just going to show you. Okay, so I'm going to use myself as a little bit of a guinea pig to predict my own future. So I'm just going to populate my kind of current life situation as it stands. So you can sort of see this is kind of like, I suppose, the basic demographic information. And from here, this just kind of highlights how common I am within the training data that we have, which kind of indicates I'm not super common, average white, middle-aged dude, nothing special. And now we're going to start populating a little bit more information about myself. You'll see we're talking about like income, marital status, kids, and dependents. And what we're starting to do is kind of populate my historical timeline. And now to really get the detail, we have like a series of questions to actually populate the sort of numbers around each of these events. So for example, when did I start my first job? Where was I unemployed at any point? No. Out of work voluntarily? No. Then we can map our income change. For example, I'm just going to skip these because we don't really have time. You know, date of marriage, etc. and then finally kids, after which we would start the simulation, which I'll kind of click here. But because we don't have too much time, instead of waiting for the simulation to run, I've actually preloaded a couple of scenarios. So this is an example of what it might predict for me from my current life situation. So we can see there's kind of a timeline that goes both forward and backward in time. So obviously this is the stuff that I already populated, kind of my real history. And then this is the predicted future. And you'll notice there's blue and red cards. So red cards are negative life events, which can be hidden by a toggle if the user doesn't want to see that. But you see that we cover all sorts of things from children, taking care of your parents, changes in your income, changes in your job status, retirement, etc. And what we're actually working towards is then turning this into a template for a financial plan. So the next stage of this is to actually turn all of this into dollar signs and integrate it into our Bamboo Robo journey. Done.
Bar, love that. My timer's gone off. Excellent. Just want to say that I'm worried that my family would break your algorithm, and I'm very worried about that. We'll talk about that soon. Got a question from Eleonora. Eleonora, go.
Thank you. Yes. What's the business model? How are you going to make money?
Yeah, well, Bamboo already makes lots of money as is. So this is just effectively like a further development of the you might say, like, if you know robo-advisory, digital wealth management, people, buy passive ETF portfolios and whatnot. That's all familiar stuff that we already do. But we see that really the opportunity in that space isn't to sort of have like, better crypto return on investment type of portfolios, but is actually to help people understand what they need to be saving and investing for. And this is where we feel predictive planning enters the stage. So it's not really meant to be like a standalone business. This is just a direction for us to take the actual platform, which includes, again, then you would do your KYC, you would do your funding, you would do all of that stuff. And Bamboo's business, by the way, is a white label. So we sell this to banks and wealth managers and advisors globally.
Excellent. Okay, you got a great question from Zeina. Go for it. I'm just laughing having looked at the question.
I'm amazed by the prediction. I just want to understand, how does your product predict when a child will be born?
Yeah, so the training data that we have is gathered from 3,000 people in America that lived between 1979 and, well, now. And the way this works is, like, if you think of a chess game that I alluded to earlier with AlphaGo, the way AlphaGo predicts the future is it looks at possible moves from any game situation. So this is precisely what we're doing, but with life course data. So instead of playing chess, we're playing life. And so really what we're trying to tease out is, like, who are the people who have, for example, lots of kids? Who are the people who retire early? Are the people who had less kids or more kids the people who retired early or retired later? So we're capturing the, you might say, the correlations between life events and life trajectories. And that's why it's saying, well, I'm going to have, 2 more kids before I turn 50.
Thank you. Fascinating.
Wow, really fascinating. We are out of time, although there's lots of good questions on this one. Just want to say again, I'd break your algorithm. I've got 7 kids and grandchildren. So yeah, this would be a very big challenge for you, I'd say, my friend. Okay, last but not least, your favorite of mine. Just kidding, no favorites. This is the contest. But I do have to say that since I met him literally an hour ago, the man has not stopped smiling. Even in his profile, I thought his live photo was him smiling in the profile, but it's actually him. I'm going to hand it over to you, James Varga from Direct ID. He is our Innovate Finance wildcard. James,
wow.
When you are ready, I know, what an intro, hey?
What an intro, amazing. I'm just happy because I'm Canadian, that's it. We're all happy.
Gosh, yes. Never make a mistake with Canadians. They are North Americans, Canadians, not Americans. Okay, we're wasting time here. James, cool. Tell me when you're ready.
Born ready. Let's go.
Love it. Go.
Cool. So yeah, no, Direct ID. James Varga, CEO and founder of Direct ID. Direct ID is the Amazon one-click for credit risk. We're a ubiquitous credit risk platform helping businesses to redefine their credit risk process, right? So we live in a world where credit risk is typically done through big agencies, bureaus, credit reference agencies, The data is historic, is very organizational approach. We're redefining that with credit risk, redefining that with open banking by allowing people to leverage the identity and data they already have with their bank account to help our customers, which are businesses like lenders, understand their customers, the end user or the applicant. And we do that by allowing people through open banking to connect their bank account, to take that data and translate it into the answers that a business would have on that individual, right? So we're talking income and affordability and credit risk and so forth. And the impact that we've seen by doing that is fantastic. So businesses can see a 45% increase in conversion. We can take a process that was weeks down to days, so there's huge cost savings. And we've seen figures around 4.5% to 7.5% reduction in fraud by adding this new real-time data set into that decisioning process. For consumers, it's all around convenience. If we could get a loan in 30 seconds, we would be a happy person, right? If we found the car of our dreams, or our partners said, yes, you can buy that big TV, whatever the use case, as long as there's a credit risk decision, we want to empower that through taking a more personalized approach that leverages that real-time data from a bank account. And we do that through a platform and a set of insights. So as a platform in Direct ID, we have a user experience, we have a single data API, we have dashboard and reporting tools, essentially all the bits and pieces required for a business to adopt bank data and credit risk into the process really quickly. I think our record is 24 hours to have someone sign up, integrate, test, launch, and start to make decisions based on bank data. That's incredible. But the real value and what we focus on more so is our insights, right? So this is data is just data. It's what you do with it. Accounts. This is where we take that bank statement data over the last 12 months and we help transform it into the insights and the actionable insights that a business wants. Everything from affordability and verifying someone's income for both consumers and businesses, cash flow engines and predictive cash flow. And as of today, we actually include now a climate index, a carbon index based on your bank statements into the platform as well to help really empower sustainable and responsible lending and financial services. We do that right now through a total of 13,000 connections over 45 countries. So it's about 1.5 billion people can use the platform tomorrow. And this is really exciting because credit risk is a global pain. It's probably one of the biggest pains that we're seeing in financial services today that can be addressed through bank data. And we've done it for lots of customers. We power some of the biggest brands in the market. We're talking Deliveroo, Uber, RBS is some great names. We take a trusted partnership approach with these companies, work really closely with them, and help deliver that impact into the business. We do that through a fantastic team. Lazaro Campus, our chairman, was CEO of Swift, 45 countries.
James,
And,
James. Thank
yes.
you. Thank you. We're done. 3 minutes.
Perfect.
Okay, you'll be able to answer some questions, hopefully in the judge's time. Okay, we're going to go straight to Phil.
Hey, James. A question here. If I've understand it correctly, would a consumer, like the end user, be choosing which kind of accounts to surface to the reliant party, the reliant corporate, and if so, what how does the corporate ensure that they can trust that gives a true picture of that consumer's kind of financial position versus the ability to kind of game that?
Yeah, so great question. Comes up a lot. It's really all dependent on the use case, right? A lending decision is going to be made on whatever account the consumer or the end user, the business connects. If it's their savings account, they're probably not going to get the loan. If it's their current account, they probably will do. So we can help the business understand which kind of account has been connected and use that to help inform the decision, really. Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to actually call on somebody. Okay, so hopefully that's good. Ian.
Hi. Who pays you, and how do they pay you?
Yeah, so we're a B2B process, B2B business. We charge the lender pays us as that middleware between the end user and their bank account, whether that's again a business or consumer, and themselves, right? So we're that conduit of the data coming from the consumer through their open banking connection, through the Direct ID platform, where we essentially provide the tools and the feature enrichment, the machine learning, the insights, the analytics to help translate that data for the business to make a better decision. Whether, well, I've shown you a bunch of the customers, most of them are credit risk decisions and similar use cases, but they help, they pay us for that insights, that analytics.
Per transaction or as a?
Yep, yeah.
Excellent. Eleonora.
James, what's the product? So me as a company, what do I access? Like, do I have access to a platform customized for me, or do you give me a report?
It's both a platform and tooling, right? So these are pre-built reports, dashboards, tools for agents, data through APIs, user experiences of connecting people to the bank account, lots of features and functionality in there. There's no way for me to cover that in 30 seconds. And a whole bunch of insights. And all of these insights are also available as APIs. So even if you're not using our platform, we can still take bank statement data, still process that and derive stuff like, what is your financial wellness? How much financial distress are you under? What's your probability of default? All of those core questions that any credit risk decision has.
Thank you.
Okay, excellent. Thank you very much, James. You can go back to smiling now. Okay, before we move on, I just first of all want to say thank you to the audience because you've been amazing. It's just been increasing over the last hour, and I'm just amazed by that. So either I'm entertaining or everybody else is just amazing. I think it's both. Our judges have been really great, very pointed questions. Our presenters have been so fabulous and have really kind of put it all in 3 minutes, which I'm very, very proud of everybody. And here's what's going to happen next. So first of all, only 30 minutes left together. And then what? Next year, I would suggest Innovate Finance. By the way, you have any suggestions for this format? Please put them in the chat. We'll be happy to consider your suggestions. Next year, I would say we need a golden buzzer. That would definitely turn the dial up. Okay, here's what's going to happen, everybody. So first of all, the judges are going to say TTFN, ta-ta for now. They're going to move on to a nifty little app called WhatsApp, and they're going to discuss amongst themselves what just happened in the last hour and find a winner. In the meantime, we won't leave you hanging. We are going to go to an Oxford style debate. Again, this is going to be Oxford style. And our moderator for this debate is going to be Ian Anderson. You're going to not hear from me for a little bit. I know you'll miss me. I'll miss you too. He's the co-founder and executive chairman of Cicero Group. And the two debaters are going to be Ben Morell, the founding partner of Briga. I've interviewed Briga before. Fun guys. And Yoram Wingard. He's the founder of dealroom.co. So I'm going to ask all the judges to please turn off your cameras, keep yourselves on mute, move over to WhatsApp, please. Discuss amongst yourselves. And now we're going to turn our attention, please, all of the contestants. Can you turn off your camera? Keep yourselves on mute. And I would like to just see the beautiful faces of Ian Anderson, Ben Morell, and Yoram Wingard. Take it away. Guys, you've got 20 minutes. I want to see a winner.
We'll try and do that, Yael. Thank you very much indeed. No Apple Watch around here. And I'm getting more like the kid in the candy shop than the kid in the supermarket right now. Look, I hope you've enjoyed that sugar rush of pitchery. As I say, we're going to leave the judges to go and do their magic, and the puff of white smoke hopefully is going to appear in about 20 minutes time. So look, we're going to have order, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to have an Oxford-style debate. And tonight's motion is this, that the current fundraising fest is coming to an end. Well, look, with numbers out this morning suggesting that there's been more VC money raised for fintech in the first 6 months of this year than we have ever seen before, and a heck of a lot of it being raised for ventures here in the UK. This is going to be maybe quite a hard motion to oppose. But look, let's see. As you can see from the bill, we've got two great speakers. We've got Ben Morell. Ben is founding partner of Briga. It's a founder-friendly European VC. I'll let him make his own pitch about his own business as he proposes the motion. And we've got Yoram Wingard from Deal Room, who's put out some of those interesting numbers this morning. Hi guys, it's great to see you both on board. In the style that we've got used to this afternoon, we're going to be 3 minutes each. And look, pose your questions. Stand up from the virtual floor, if you like, and if you can pop that into the chat. Otherwise, frankly, it'll just be the three of us, and there's lots of us on board. So as Ben and Yoram are laying out their arguments to you, can you pop your questions into the chat, and we'll try and at least create the flavor of the Oxford Union. And right at the end, I will ask the lobbies to be cleared, virtually at least, and we'll have a virtual vote just before 5:30, before Yael brings the judging the judging panel back. So look, without any more ado, it's over to Ben Merrill. Ben, to propose the motion that the current fundraising fest is coming to an end. Ben.
Obviously. So look, guys, I'm not going to dig my own grave, but you know, I'm one of the partners at Briga, early stage investors, and you know, Briga is a founders fund. So I've been on both sides of the table. I know what it means to raise money. I know what it means to invest money. And yes, the fundraising fest is coming to an end. In terms of what it looks like today. So obviously the numbers are great, it's growing, we've been catching up with the US, and you know, the US, if you look at the numbers, kind of investing around 0.75% of their GDP into tech. And you know, back a few years back, Europe was like 10 times less than that, right? So we've been catching up. But the major issue here is that these days we see increasing valuation all over the place. We see these crazy seed rounds and crazy Series A of, you know, in the tens or hundreds. But if you want a fruitful ecosystem overall, it's not about the money the startups are raising today. It's about how much the VC can raise ultimately, because to have great founders, you need great VCs and vice versa. So the real North Star for an ecosystem should be how much the VCs are raising, and for VC to raise, they need to make money out of it. Otherwise, LP will disappear like back in the 2000s. So the big question is, can VC make money when they're paying US prices in Europe? Because that's what we're seeing today. And to be fair with everyone around the table, just look at the number, just look at what's been happening lately. The average exit of a VC-backed company in Europe is 3 times less than what we see in the US. So can you imagine paying your entry price at US prices, exiting 3 times less? It doesn't look like an amazing equation for VCs and ultimately the ecosystem to thrive. There are solutions to it, and I'm not gonna give any solution to Yoram. So, you know, happy to discuss that later on in the Q&A session. But as of now, look at the facts, and the facts tell you that this is not sustainable. So amount of money may stay there, valuation to be questioned. And obviously, you know, we don't have a NASDAQ in Europe yet. It's hard enough to convince a German investor to invest in a Spanish company or a British one into an Italian company. So there are things to be built, but yeah, it is probably not sustainable if we want to be able to maintain the ecosystem longer term. And look at the recent valuations and recent IPOs. I mean, the number of IPOs in Europe to the US is much lesser. You know, we are talking, you know, 3 times less IPO than in the US. And, you know, the number of over $1 billion valuation IPO in Europe is minimal, right? So even Deliveroo didn't have an amazing, you know, going. So yes, you see startups that manage to build tech in Europe and sell it into the US, and then, you know, go into the NASDAQ, which is one way, but the vast majority are stuck here in Europe and fighting against the odds about their exit. So overall, I would say that yes, the fest will be over.
Ben, thank you very much indeed. Pretty much on your 3 minutes as well. You know how to do this pitching thing. So look, for the opposition tonight, ladies and gentlemen, Yoram from Durham. Yoram.
Yeah, hi, thanks, Ian. And thanks, Ben. I think that was a fascinating argument, but I'm going to take the other side of that. I think it's of course very easy to say, oh well, you know, look at these numbers, it's crazy. And as you said, like so far this year, more has been invested than in any full year before. You hear VCs getting very worried about valuations. Everybody's wondering, is there a bubble? I think, however, to make sense of what's happening now, I really like the framing of the entrepreneurial age, which is not my idea, but Nicolas Collin wrote about it, and also the founder of AngelList. So what does the entrepreneurial age mean? I see it as having 4 pillars. So one is transition to a digital economy. So right now, 80% of the population is online. Consumers are expecting their services to be online. And also because of technology, it became much easier to launch and scale a company and to distribute it globally. And because of that, you see also now a rise of startups everywhere. And startups have become the vehicle of choice for any kind of innovation. So we're not just talking about startups as a kind of separate way of life. This is the new way to do business. And so I predict that almost every major business in the next 10, 15 years is going to be completely disrupted by a group of startups. And so if you look at it that way, tech is basically a hedge against everything. It's a hedge against political risk. It's a hedge against environmental risk. Software is going to is already kind of permeating everything, and it's the safest way to invest in the economic future. And I think that talent has also seen that. So the best talent is now flocking to startups. They don't want to work in consulting anymore or in banking. They want to launch their own business or at least be part of a startup. So that's like a huge change. And in response to that, there has been an abundance now of capital. And sure, like low interest rates have definitely helped, but that's not the underlying driver. And so you'll just see more and more innovation. On top of that, you see that governments, and that's the 4th pillar, governments have realized that almost all job growth is coming from new business formation and especially from startups. So they are now fully behind this as well. So that's like, again, another catalyst on top of that. So in short, I think this is a train that's unstoppable. There will be bumps along the way, but no, the fest is not over.
An unstoppable train. Thank you very, very much indeed. So I've got 1 or 2 thoughts coming in on the chat. Keep them coming, but just to sort of provoke our conversation. Look, I've got to start with you, Yoram, in a way, because Ben maybe had a harder deal. I'll come to him in a minute. It's a bubble, though, isn't it? Why? I mean, why is this not a bubble?
Yeah, why is it not a bubble? I think a bubble happens. The definition of a bubble is people just investing because they think the price of an asset will go up, and they've completely let go of the fundamentals. And that's not the case here. Overall, what I see is that people pay very close attention to the unit economics of a business. They do wonder, can this business become profitable? They are willing to take a long-term view. Like if you look also what's happening in the grocery delivery business, people accept bad unit economics and they're willing to dream and look like 5 years ahead. But that's also the nature of venture capital. You have to be a little bit crazy because every now and then it works out, and when it does, it works out massively. So it's still financially rational.
Ben, look, I mean, you're kind of pointing us to the fact that we're going to move to something different in your view from where we're at. Can you just flesh that out a bit more for us? What do you mean by that in terms of how the kind of dynamics are going to change in your mind?
Yes. Well, look, where I would differ with Yoram is, around speculation. I've heard these days a bunch of, business angels and even seed funds saying, well, I'm happy to pay that price because I will exit at Series B or C on secondary, right? So, I mean, people don't really think that much of the overall valuation. And this is, as I said, dangerous for the VC landscape, but it's dangerous for the founders themselves ultimately. So I think where things may evolve, like in any market, there's not such a thing as the perfect market. So I think, things will adapt a little bit. Obviously, the IPO market in Europe will increase. I mean, we've started seeing a lot of acquisitions by US players, maybe Chinese and Indian and Brazilian players may come over and be like, hey, we're going to acquire this company here to be present in Europe all of a sudden. So there are dynamics that, going to make the overall market change. But the underlying rationale for big exits in the US, which is NASDAQ, doesn't exist here now, right? So for those, as I said, for those companies that can have a US play, it makes sense. But how many European companies actually list in NASDAQ? It's very few. So for the local players, the rationale should be a little bit different. Not the amount of funding particularly, maybe. That's why, going back to the numbers, I think there still is some money available for tech. But making people aware that it's not a gamble and that overall it needs to be aligned with the market forces that are around us.
Okay, Yoram, is something going to get in the way of market forces? Ben's talking about some of the alluding to some of the geopolitics here. Barriers have been going up in not necessarily in the tech space, but in other sectors. Do you think we've got a lot of political risk here that might choke off some investment from west to east and east to west?
Yeah, I think actually so far China has been a victim of that, and to some extent Europe has benefited from it. So some of the investment from the US into China has been kind of redirected to Europe. Yeah, is it a risk? Yeah, this is always a risk. Yeah.
Ben, what's the sector missing right now? Again, back to your point of your argument around dynamics here. What is the sector not seeing in terms of fundraising?
Well, I think it comes down to the end game. I think as a founder myself, I talk to founders about their equity story, and it's just not a phrase you put out there and you try to sneak into negotiate terms or whatever. It's just that what's the best outcome for your company. And I've seen so many people who raised their Series B or Series C at valuations or rounds or terms that didn't make sense for the future, because when you raise at 300 mil, then all of a sudden people expect you to be $1 billion company, right? And how many $1 billion companies do you create in Europe these days? More than 10 years ago, for sure. But can we get to the numbers of the US, meaning 3 or 4 times more in the next 5 years? That's to be debated, because you need people to exit these businesses, and obviously, European NASDAQ doesn't exist. And to the Chinese point, that's where I would disagree with Yoram. I think the Chinese economy and the tech economy had a different approach to Europeans about the US. They actually created and isolated their own market. So they created their own tech giants outside of the US world, where we didn't. They created liquidity in NASDAQ at the beginning, and now they're doing it in China. So it's a different play, different game.
Go on, Yoram. This is a debate. Keep disagreeing with them.
It's true that, yeah, China has had a different model, and they've created these beasts that are very successful companies and very valuable companies. But if you look at what's happening at the early stage, I don't think it's a healthy ecosystem. And like to have a strong ecosystem, you need competition. You need like young new startups being ready to disrupt the older ones. And I think that's at the moment missing in China.
Okay, I'm going to put Eleonora from Innovate Finance on notice. We're going to vote in about 2-3 minutes. So if you can just get the vote ready before I hand back to Yael and the wider debate. But Yael has actually posed a question. I knew she would in any case. She's saying, as a professional fundraiser, raising capital for corporate startups and charitable funds for NGOs, to me, the fundraising is never over. It's never over. It's always about the sell. And that's what provides the narrative for the future in a high or low economy. So Ben, look, I mean, you're being too gloomy. It's never over. It's constant.
Well, look, to be fair, as I said, I didn't want to dig my own grave, and that was a hard one for me. But I had to play the game, so I played it fair. Yes, I think there is money available. I agree. As I said, I think talent in Europe is incredible. We have to keep up with the numbers, and there's no reason why we shouldn't see 0.75% of the GDP coming into startups overall. So that's good news. But yeah, to be fair, exit numbers is a question, and we need to work as Europeans to create that local NASDAQ to make sure that ultimately we can sustain the level of investment and, above all, valuations we are seeing. That's key for the ecosystem to thrive, because you want VCs to be able to raise money in 5 years down the line. Otherwise, then all of a sudden there's not going to be money left for early stage companies.
And Yoram, final word to you. Why is this? I mean, you produced these numbers this morning that we can all read. Why is this speeding up in the first half of this year? It's been a really difficult 80 months for everybody globally. Why have things speeded up?
Yeah, because software and technology has proven itself during the pandemic, from vaccination production, delivery, e-commerce, and then fintech is providing the infrastructure to enable that. So that's why it has accelerated. And Ben has mentioned a few times exits, and they're not being as good exit opportunities in Europe. I think that's in a way a lagging indicator, and you see now TransferWise, Adyen, others, it's coming, and I do agree that there should be better public markets here and more education of institutional investors. So we agree on that.
Right, on that, I've clearly failed. They're agreeing violently, which is a bit of a disaster for a debate, but never mind. Guys, thank you, Ben, and you're very much indeed right. Eleonora, am I able to say order? Are you able to? You are, right. So who won the debate? The proposition that the current fundraising fest is coming to an end, otherwise known as Ben, or the opposition, otherwise known as Yoram? Please vote now. I don't know how long we give this until this pops up. Hopefully everyone's had a chance to vote. I'll just do a bit of tap dancing until Eleonora pops the result up on the screen, which I think probably we can do any time now, Eleonora. If you haven't voted, you've lost your democratic opportunity. Oh, Yoram, there you go. I have to say, Ben had a slightly harder gig, but you both did incredibly well. Let me hand back to thanking the guys, and thank you to you, and let me hand back to Yael.
Thank you so much. By the way, this is my career of broadcasting on television. I'll never make it to the big screen, so the Zoom screen's fine with me. Ian, thank you so much. And Ben, I just want to say, and Yoram, great job, guys. Ben, I actually want to give you some credit, even though you lost. I also want to say that it's great lateral thinking to think the opposite way, and that will help make you a better fundraiser. Just saying. Okay, thank you so much. Now's the moment you've all been waiting for. Certainly I've been waiting for, okay, because it's dinner time soon. So let's move on to the big reveal. Usually in my house at Schnitzel, tonight, it's going to be the winner of this contest. So I want you right now to do two things. I want you to pay very close attention to the screen because our judges have been debating on WhatsApp, going for it, and it was difficult. I can tell you, just watching all of this conversation. I also want to tell you that they've been sweating it out like a Dragon's Den and Shark Tank kind of episode. And I would say at the end of the day, if we take the contestants and we take the debate and we stick it all together, what do you have? We have the message. It is all about the hustle. It's all about the pivot, certainly during a pandemic, and it's all about the story you tell. So I want to thank all the panelists for telling us their story. And if anybody can, by the way, figure out an anagram of Innovate Finance, you get a challah from me. Okay, so here's the judging criteria before we go. Number one, disruption. How disruptive was this company? Number two, how much potential? I'm telling you, this sounds like a report card from nursery school. Three, kidding. Markets and customers. How big is the market and so on and so forth. Number four, innovation. Number five, what was their team like? Number six, social environmental impact. So what I want you to do is as soon as the winner is announced, I want you to get on to your social media channels, Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, tweet, make any sound you like, and tweet the winner. How nice would that be? Just show some good vibes, guys. Okay, and the winner is, I'm just gonna open my Rosh Hashanah card here. Are you ready? It is, you're sitting on the edge of the seat. Clause match, Evgeny Nikodad, clause match. Let's give a round of applause. I don't hear any music in the background, just have it in your head. Evgeny, come on screen. Let's see your pretty face. Come and say thank you. Collect winner takes all. I just want to thank all the judges. They've been absolutely amazing. But Evgeny, where are you?
I'm here in London, and
there you go. Okay, so I'm going to put myself on mute, which is really rare, and I'm going to give you the floor to say thank you. Okay.
Wow, thank you, Yael, and thank you, everyone. This has been completely unexpected because we work with what some might call a more boring part of the financial services regulation and compliance. But I truly believe that this is the most important part, so our customers get safe products in their hands and use safe products, financial products and other products. So, but I really wanted to thank everyone for considering and for giving us the win. This is really great.
Excellent. And just to let you know the kinds of prizes you're going to get, okay? Because, I mean, this is awesome. Evgeny, you're going to want to get these prizes, okay? And anybody else who wants these prizes, sign up now for next year. Guys, we're going to be on a real stage next year. First of all, you get a complimentary Innovate Finance annual membership. You get regulatory and legal advice from Innovate Finance, surprise. You get top-tier press and policy support. You get a speaking slot, so start practicing now for next year's Innovate Finance Conference. You get an extra ticket, but I've got one, so you can give it to somebody else. And you've got a whole, you said wow to that one? Okay, you've got a whole series of mentoring sessions with the following companies, just a selection, I'm not gonna name all of them. Google is going to help mentor you. Specifically, Adam Khalifa, he's the head of EMEA Financial Services and Strategic Partnerships at Google. And GTM Advisory Board at Capital G. You've got Albion VC. One of our judges was just there, Jay Wilson. He's going to mentor you. PayPal, Ashish is going to mentor you. How awesome is that? Okay, guys. And also, Evgeny, you've got a bunch of dried flowers from me. So hopefully that will make you happy. And certainly you're in London, you can enjoy the sun here. I just want to thank all of the contestants. You were awesome. You're all invited to my house for Friday night dinner. We'll have a little chicken soup and some challah. We'll enjoy it so much. And I specifically also would like to thank all of the judges. The judges have been fantastic. Shall I name them? Let's just name them again, shall we? Okay, Philip Garner, thank you. Eleonora Ferrero, Zeina Hatem, Jay Wilson, Ashish Argawal, Ian Connatty. Guys, it's been a pleasure. Give yourselves a round of applause. I win the biggest prize of all because we're finished 5 minutes early. Are there any final words, or as a woman, do I get the final word? Do I get the last word? Do I get the last word? Okay, I get the last word. Guys, we did it. Enjoy. Thank you so much for coming. I'll see you hopefully before next year. Bye, everybody. Thanks so much for coming.
Thank you. Bye.